G'day, Deno here with a very sudden impromptu stream because I just kind of felt like it. And we're in Railroads Online, which is a game where you build a railroad, literally. The game just starts you with a single locomotive, this one Betsy over here, a single wagon, and a single piece of track. And then that is over at the freight depot here, and from there everything else is about building it yourself. So it's interesting, you gotta link all these industries, if I could speak, together. So naturally when you start the freight depot you build a line pretty much to the sawmill, and then sawmill to link to the logging camp, and that's sort of your basic core industry, I guess. Because every other industry here basically needs the timber that comes from the sawmill. So let's get some timber, because you'll see there's no logs left in the lake here. So we need to get some logs in there, and they will then get processed and turned into beams and lumber over here, which at the moment I am delivering down to, or up to I should say, the iron ore mine via the scariest, most riskiest, rickety bridges you've ever seen. Uh, so we will get to that. And g'day Zav, how's it going? So let's load up. Oh, I need to put some more firewood in here. Actually, while I let the fire warm up, I'm just gonna poach some timber from this one. It's fine. I'm just gonna steal from my other locomotive, because there is a sawmill thing, but it's all the way over there for firewood, and I haven't built one anywhere else at the moment, aside from the freight depot and the mine, and Betsy doesn't go to either of those. Uh, let's see, if I took all the handbrakes off. Yes, we are good. Bounce up and down on the couplers. So the fire's going to take a bit to get up, so let's just steal a little bit more. So this game's a early access thing, really early access actually. There's been a bit of drama, I'm not going to really go into it, but people came and then people left, and the game that had lots of plans, they're sort of up in the air at the moment, but I don't know, I've apparently played over 100 hours of this, so I enjoy it. And it's sort of up my alley, because you're not just driving trains, but you're actually, like, building them from scratch. And yes, there is a menu. I can drive a train like this if I want to, but I find it way more fun to just use the actual controls. Of which we play this dude. Everyone, because this is a multiplayer game, everyone who joins your server will look like this dude. So, yeah, that's interesting. Now, the game is set in, like, 1800s North America, I believe. I know it's American locomotives, it's like 3-foot gauge, narrow gauge here. But beyond that, I don't really know. Because, like, we have this little porter, we have this little, I don't know, 060. A game calls it like a class 48, I think. If I hit G, I go to this construction menu. So this is where you like build your track, your facilities, get your locomotives and stuff, and then your basic other tools. So, for example, for buying, you got the different types of wagons. Tells you what they can carry and how much they weigh, which is important because a lot of trains can't carry a lot of stuff, especially over steep grades. Hopper is what I'm saving up for, but at $850 each, they are expensive. tankers, box cars, the caboose, which I need to get, just because I like how they look. Snowplow, which they added just for this thing, although it's a cosmetic one. And then the locomotive, so you got your classic pump action handcar. You got the porter that we already have, that you start with. Second porter, we got one of them. Class 48, that's what it's called, that's the one we have. Montezuma, gorgeous looking engine right there. If a little bit on the smaller side and not the most powerful. Eureka, I used to have that in an older save, back with the old track method. Oh yeah, don't even get started, the old way of building track was terrible. Glenbrook, new one, not really looked at anything about it, but it looks nice. I've heard it's apparently one of the fastest engines in game, but it's actually too fast for the wagons, so on a straight piece of track you can derail, which is fun. The Climax, one of my favourite ones, although I don't actually have it. Basically, this thing can pull more than almost anything else, or I think it can pull literally more than anything else. But you can literally run faster than this thing can go at top speed. So it's not about going somewhere fast, it's about pulling stuff that's really heavy where it doesn't want to go. Same with the Heisler here, though it's a little bit less powerful but faster as a trade-off with the V cylinders. And the Shay, I don't really know much about what the Shay is of the game, aside from I love the design of these things. It just seems to be really heavy for the power it's got, so it will move a lot, but it, it's quite heavy, so it's not going to handle grades much. Mosca, another new one. Don't really know much about it. I need to look into it, but again, passenger geared. The Kook, or the Cook Mogul, I don't know how you pronounce that. The classic one with huge tender. And then the 280, new one they added. Don't really know much about it, but it looks nice. And I think these new ones, yeah, they come with a few different paint options you can pick when you buy them, as well as different things like different types of headlights and different types of funnels. So that's always fun. You can get a bit of customization and then name them whatever you want. That one, I've driven it again in my old save. Definitely quite a beast of a machine, that one. And that's it. But yeah, we'll go back. So yeah, this is what the guy looks like. Old man with the I don't know what type of, would you call that knitted clothing? It could be knitted clothing, I'm not actually sure. But yeah, he just likes to go for a stroll. Ignore the fact that he jumps up and down everywhere and can like clip through trains like they're nothing. We shall ignore that for now, and let's actually get driving. Okay, so we have boiler pressure. Reverser tells us whether we're going forwards or backwards, so we just throw it into forwards. Brake, this loco just has a steel brake on the wheels, so I'll turn the brakes off. Cylinder cocks are only cosmetic, but I'll open them to flush water out of the cylinders. And we shall open the regulator up, which is, the regulator is basically your throttle. You see the cylinder cocks blowing out there? That's basically exhausting steam into the cylinder to push moisture out, because of course water doesn't condense, and thus it can damage the cylinder on a real thing. In game it doesn't do anything right now, so it's just cosmetic, but it's a good thing to do. Just like in reality you would pull the reverser back. The reverser, I don't really know much about how to drive a steam train, so I can't really say it properly, but it's my understanding that the reverser needs to go like at 100%, that's all your steam into the cylinder. As you pick up speed, you would pull the reverser back to sort of halfway or less, and then that would give you like more efficiency, I believe. And then the regulator, like I said, is just sort of your throttle, effectively, or regulating the amount of steam, as its name would imply. And then, yeah. Now you don't have to worry about your boiler pressure in this. The boiler pressure will just, it'll never explode. Put it that way. So we're fine. Yes, that does look like a bot. Oh, game audio's gone because I had to alt tab. But yeah, so it is what it is. I don't really know much about Twitch, so I don't know what you could really do about that, but there we go. As you can see, we can't exactly see a lot from our locomotive, but if we hit R or T, we can do sort of like a lean. So let's open the window. Now we come to the top of this bridge, so we will drop the regulator back down. And it should be already set up to run where I want. Oh, we're dropping speed too quickly, so let's get back on the power. Oops. And drop it back down again. Little bit shaky, this train, as you might tell. Just bouncy, 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 whatever. Cut the regulator. Now we want to line up with these cranes to load, so let's throw the brake on to start slowing us down. But we don't want to stop, we want to sort of coast until we get all of these on. Put the brake on. Thank you. Now, you see, again, this industry, this is all track I laid. So I've just put one for the logs on this side, and one over here for cordwood, which is, at the moment, so far, all I've figured it out for is it's used, or it's best to use to restock the firewood depots, and to, what was it, to, oh, the smelter, that's right. I'm a little bit tired trying to remember what it's called. And now to actually load, you have to load your wagons manually, or unload them manually. Sort of. The cranes are automatic, but you have to activate it to tell them to do what you want them to do. So in this case, I want to load logs onto my wagons. Now these wagons will fit 6 logs each, so I can carry 24 logs in a single train load, which works out because it means 4 trips and I fill the lake at the sawmill. Now every other industry requires inputs to produce these things. So this logging camp here doesn't. This is literally the only industry in the game that you don't need to bring anything to for it to actually make stuff. It will just do it. Whereas, like the sawmill, it will make beams and lumber, but it needs logs. The iron ore mine will produce iron ore, but it needs beams and lumbers. The smelter will produce that stuff, but it needs iron ore and cordwood, so it's all about loading up, you know, your trains, linking them up, getting them where they need to go to deliver the loads that are actually required at each location. So there we go, that's all loaded. We shall run on down, throw the reverser into reverse. Have to apply a bit more regulator now because we are heavier. Not too much. We don't want to go zooming off. We just want to, again, coast along effectively. Roll into position by these cranes. Something like that will do. Slam on the brake. And now we load these ones up. I tend to like sort of stand in the middle and just go back and forth between them. Probably not the best way to do it, but it is how I figured is the most efficient way to do it. Now, ideally, what you would actually want to do with something like this is you would actually have someone loading and then someone on the train, so that way, instead of the back and forth I'm doing, you know, you can just immediately jump from one to the other and load up a train much faster. But, you know, I'm the only one playing in this at the moment, and I have 1700 according to that. So I'm getting there. I could buy 2 of those iron ore hoppers, which maybe I will do. Because then I can actually start taking some of the iron ore that is produced at the mine already. And then take that down to the smelter, which I haven't actually delivered anything to yet, aside from cordwood. And then, yeah, see how that goes. Load the last ones on. And there we go, we have a full train. Now, we will be going downhill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a bit of brake to this rear wagon. Not a lot, 25% handbrake will do. That'll just make it easier to control our speed on the downwards hill. Because yes, little Betsy here doesn't have the best brakes. Let's load up the fire again. There we go, we want to keep it at the nice toasty 400 degrees. Open the cylinder cocks. Brake off. Let's get ourselves rolling. With the scary view of just the empty back of the tray. Come on, Betsy, you can do it. Let's pull the whistle. I like that you can quill the whistle depending on how much you pull it. And there's the bell as well, which you can just pull and it does its thing. Let's close the cylinder cocks. So that yellow thing is coming up is saying is if you want to unload. Now obviously we don't want to unload in the middle of nowhere. We want to unload where we will actually make some money. Which we certainly won't do in this particular spot. Also, I have no idea if the game audio is too loud or not. It looks like it's maybe on the louder end, but it's hard to honestly say. you'll see the downhill that the track has here, sort of when it goes onto this bridge. This is, like I said, this is the first line I built pretty much after the one to the freight depot. Oh, you can hear we're speeding up a little. We will pull back a little bit more. So you don't want to go too fast, especially as we're pushing instead of pulling, which means we're more prone to derailing. See the sawmill in the distance there? Okay, we start to level off from here, so we will put a little bit more power. It's kind of fun, because you build the tracks, everyone is going to be doing things a little bit differently. And I know I've watched some videos of how other people have built these routes, and you go, how did they do that, or how did you work it out? Because of course, the game doesn't show you where you can build. It's up to you to figure out, you know, what is the route you're going to do, what grade you're going to have, you know, even, you know, how tight your turns are going to be. That's all your own choice. So you're going to end up with something totally different to what, you know, the next person playing the game would have. And I find that pretty cool, because it means the experience is always going to be different for everyone, and because it's a multiplayer game, you could jump onto someone else's server and see how they've done it. And then you can cry about how they're a wizard because they've managed to dual track every line with a less than 1.5% grade or something. Then there's me with my rickety single track line that has a, I think at most a 7% grade on one section, which is very steep by train standards, put it that way. I don't actually know what the percentage stands for. Someone could probably tell me, and I know I could find out if I was to open a wiki or something, but kind of awkward to do, especially when the game mutes audio when you switch window, which is a pain. Slowly ease back in. As you can see the ramp there, the timbers leading into the lake, that is our unloading spot. So we just want to line these wagons up just right so that we can unload here. I'm going a little bit slow, I know that, but I like to try and play it as if this was a real train, even though it's a baby little tiny train. But a train nonetheless. Okay, cut power and throw the brake on. There we go. Now, let's unload. Bink. And they will roll into the lake, or roll into the lake and disappear. And you'll see they will fill out the pond. Of course, the idea being that, like most lumber mills in these days, the logs will get loaded into a lake or a river and floated to wherever the sawmill was, where great hooks would drag them into the mill where they would get cut up. So it's kind of nice to see that they're acknowledging that that's sort of how a lot of these sawmills worked, at least in the sort of time period that the game is meant to be representing. You can see a little progress there shows that the sawmill is using some of these logs. but not a lot of them at this moment in time. And there we go. So I will take the brake off. And I'm going to take Betsy round to actually load some wood that isn't being poached from the next locomotive across. Because that's not the best way to be doing things now, is it? So I want to throw that switch in that direction. Basically, the lever is in the direction that the switch is showing. So when you're looking at the switch from this side, this switch is to the right, saying that that track, as you can see by the rails, will take the train to the right. Pretty straightforward. Same with that one, and then that one shows it will go to the left. So if I throw the lever, you can see the point blades move back and forth. So we got a water tower, and we got the actual firewood depot there. So we will reverse the whole train into there. Oop, damn it. Jump, jump. There we go. How are we looking? 50. Yeah, we'll throw some more on. That'll do us. Cylinder cocks open, brake off, reverser, get some power on. We are much lighter now that we've dropped the logs off, so we don't have to worry as much. And you'll see we are moving a lot quicker for much less regulator being used. Which is the advantage of being lighter. Who would have guessed? Should sound the whistle, even though there's no one around that I am reversing. I'm pretty sure it was 3 short blasts. What sort of American railroads we're using. I don't know what we used here in Australia, I've never really looked into it. I imagine all the different railways did it differently. Because like everyone here, we have to do things different to everyone else. Actually, I need to check, is this train going to actually fit in the depot? It will not. We are going to hit those buffers. Okay, let's throw the brake on. Bang. Okay. We're fine. Yep, smash. I guess. Also, ignore that that's floating. I should build a little bit of an embankment there. Now I've got to find where I want it to go. Probably somewhere about there. I don't know what that is. And then just so it's not totally floating, you know? So I'm just using the numpad to control the rotation, mouse cursor to build it, left and right. And there we go, that is not floating randomly in space now. But we need some timber, so let's just grab timber from here. We can carry 5 at a time. Oh, every time I do it, I'm reminded of, what was it? Was it one of the old GTAs? I think it was, like GTA 3, maybe? Where the jump sound was just, and it seemed totally at odds with the character. It sounded like someone very different had actually recorded those lines and to like the voice actor, and they just never changed it. I think it was GTA 3. It might have been a different game. I should play that again sometime. It's been a long time since I played it. I have it on the PS2, and I have done videos with the PS2 before. Although since then, I now got one of those fancy what's it like, the Rad, like not Rad 2X, but made by the same guy, the Retro T&K box thing. Basically, it's like an upscaler that will allow you to have an analog input like a PlayStation 2 into a digital output like a monitor or a capture card or something, which is nice because that's how I can stream that if I want to, and it would be in better quality than the original version I was using, which was plugging the console directly into an Elgato and then the softness of the image that brought with it. Because I mean, of course, you know. Why did I not pick any logs up there? I thought I did. Well, I definitely did that time. Now it's funny, there's no actual way to check how much water is in the loco. Like, if you go into that driving menu thing, hang on, let me go into it so I can explain. So if I hit this, you see how it says water level here? That's not actually the water in the locomotive, that's just the water in the boiler. So the actual tank, like see here, this saddle tank that the water would actually go in, you can't see how much is actually in there. The way you would do that is to open the water hatch and look in. Now you can't really see, but you can of course clip in and you can see, yeah, we are going to need to get water in at some point. But because of how I've done this, I'm going to have to shunt these wagons out the way. So let's us drive forward just so we can dump these wagons and actually reach the water tower. So we'll go past these points here. Okay, that should be going past them. Throw the brake on. Now we will throw the switch. Reverse up. Cocks open. Brake off. Regulator. Close the cocks. Close the regulator. We just need to clear this switch, which we will do easily. Now brake. Now, it's always a good idea to turn the handbrake of anything you are just leaving on its own, so that way it won't roll anywhere. So we got classic chain link couplers. You'll see we've got a little chain link in the middle and then these two pins. The pins are installed and removed by just right clicking, and then the chain is just left clicking. So we just right click, that chain will now disappear even though it's still showing there for now. Meaning if we go forwards now, we will have left our train behind. Leaving again the sketchiest looking thing of just that. I don't know about you, but that seems really dangerous to me. Like, you could just so easily just step off or fall off the back of the train when there's nothing there. I suppose there's always supposed to be something there, but when there isn't, it just seems a little bit risky. But I guess 1800s, very different times. No one cared if you could just accidentally fall off the train. Now we've got to sort of line up with the spout. Oh. Although the spout you can move around a bit, so it's not... It's fairly forgiving. Brake on. Yep, that looks pretty good. So we want to open that up. And then the spout we will bring down. And there we go. That will now fill that up. Ignore the fact that it looks like it's just pouring straight through. If we clip in, we can see the level will pop up like that. And we basically just got to wait until there's like a splashing spillover effect. Which is saying, you know, this tank is full. So there we go. There's our splashing effect. So we didn't need that much water, but it was a good idea. So now we'll put that back up. You'll see the water tower has this percentage bar. That's its capacity. That automatically replenishes over time. So we don't have to worry about that. Also, I don't know why that is still spilling like that. Oh, it's gone. Okay, then. Let's just get moving. Let's put a pin back in, and a link and a pin on our side. We will clear the junction soon enough. There we go. Brake on. Throw the switch the other way. Reverser. Regulator. Brake off. And no, we don't. Oh, we don't want to brake. We don't want to go slamming into our train. Oh, we just want to crawl in. We want to sort of tap into it, not smash into it. And then right click, it makes that chunk sound. And there we go, we have coupled back up. So brake off, reverser forward, that brake off, there, ring the bell. If I can find the right spot for it. It's kind of difficult on this one because it's offset for some reason. There. We will cut the speed there. Now I'm going to do a sneaky thing there. Whoa! Whoa, okay. Hang on. Stop the train. I don't know how Betsy derailed there. What I was going to say is I was going to do a sneaky thing of jump off the train. I was going to say, oh, I'll do a sneaky thing. I'll jump off the train after it's going slower so I can change the junction points back over. And then Betsy decided to do a kickflip. Throw that back over. Fortunately, we can just go re-rail. Select what we want to re-rail, so the porter. And then we want to re-rail here. Rotate round, please. I want it to be facing the other way, please. There we go. The bell has momentum. So if I ring the bell when I find its quick spot. Where are you? Oh, I had it there. If I ring the bell, you'll see I've pulled the string. The string is moved this arm. The bell will keep ringing until the momentum eases out. Because, of course, you know, you got the weight of the bell and then the... whatever the bit in the middle, I forget what it's called. But that sort of offsets it. That makes the ring. And then that also, of course, keeps it ringing. So, you'll see it will ring, but it will slow down and eventually stop on its own. Whereas, of course, the whistle here, I can just pull it down and blow it for as long as I like. But as soon as I let go, it will go out. Because that whistle is using steam instead of physical momentum. Crash. Couple again. I don't know what caused our backflip, but we did one. Backflip for style. Or something to that effect. Let's forward, break off. Throw some more logs on the fire. Regulator on. Reverser, brake. There we go. I think I'll do one more run of logs and then I will load up the other locomotive here. So actually, don't want to go too quick. I'll have it slowly roll past as I run to this locomotive and get it fired up. So that way it is ready to go when we come back. There we go. And now we can jump to this one. So that one will get its boiler up to temperature. And by the time we go up, load and come back, it should be perfectly fine and ready for us to use. See the track on the left there? That's the one that goes back to the freight depot. So I've got this sort of divide, and then that track that disappears, that goes to my hump yard, and from there the lines to the ore mine and the smelter. One thing this game definitely needs is to improve the smoke effects, because I mean, it's okay, but it's way too clear. Like when a locomotive is working hard, it should be belching huge clouds of black smoke, and you know, that's just what these trains do. Instead, we're just constantly blowing the safety valve, and that's about it, really. Then again, if this was like Train Simulator, I can't drive steam trains, at least the old ones that had it, because I would just always be blowing the safety off, or having the fire get too cold or whatever. From not putting enough coal in, or putting too much water in too quickly, or, you know, whatever. It's one of the trestle bridges, the only trestle bridge on this particular line. Oh, I can hear we're slowing down, so let's get a bit more power. The little train that could. Let's cut the power now. We're here for the ghost town that is the logging camp. Supposedly they might add passengers or workers as another commodity effectively, so you would have passenger carriages, and I guess you have to deliver workers to the industries. They would be treated like any other good, I would suspect. But that would require them actually adding a town or something to the map, because currently these industries are just in the middle of absolutely bloody nowhere. I keep stumbling on my words today. Anyone would think I'm at the end of another busy week of work, because that's exactly what happened. And I went too far. Bollocks. Let's reverse. It's all sort of guesswork until you learn it. And I haven't learned it yet where I want to be. So now it's time to play Crane Simulator again. Yay! My favourite part of this game. I kind of like the realistic element it adds, but it's also tedious, because it's, at the end of the day, it's just, you know, like, what was it, Cookie Clicker and whatnot, where you just click the thing, it does the thing, and you just have to keep clicking the thing until it's done. So it's not the most engaging, shall we say. And it's a good thing that we can't knock ourselves out with these cranes. Well, let me climb to the top. I'm the king of the log pile. Huzzah. Parkour master. Oh, I fell off. So not quite master. Parkour aspirant. I don't know what is aspirant. Is that a word? Someone aspiring to be something? Is that an aspirant? I don't know. There we go. I made it to the roof that time. Bam. I think it's a word, but I don't actually know. Okay, they're loaded up. Let's move ourselves onwards, get the next ones. Oh, don't want to go too quickly. And brake on. Yeah, that's a pretty good spot. And we will load these ones up. Now you can't actually operate the cranes from this view. Ah, aspirant is a word. Thanks, Nuclear. I really am not good with words. I like to think I am, but I'm really not. Especially when you you know those words that come up where you read them in something, but you've never heard them out loud. So, like your brain goes, "Yes, this is a word" when you go to say it, but then you don't actually trust yourself because it's like, is this how it's actually said? No decapitation via log. I would rather keep my head, at least for the moment. Also, look at that. Amazing. Also, I like that you can just jitter on the spot and he's totally okay. Just purely emotionless at all times. I'm going to stop doing that. Especially as we're actually ready to go now. So we will throw some brake back on again. Let's go 20% because we had too much last time. How's the fire? 40. We will throw another 2. There we go. Cylinder cocks open. Brakes off. Reverser. Walking speed gets slower the higher angle you look down from. Does it? Oh yeah, you're right, it does. So the speed is relative to the camera, I'm guessing is how it's set up in the game. So of course in first person, you're always doing the same speed because you're not changing the angle. I mean, I can look up and down, but because I guess the distance of the camera to the character is not changing. Whereas if I'm in there, I can do the moonwalk. Well, sort of the moonwalk. I can do the very slow, dramatic steps. Or you can do the Superman skid, whatever that is. But I can still sprint. And the sprint is also affected. Interesting. Yeah, the ex-game dev learnings in me has got me really interested in wanting to know how that is actually being triggered. It's got to be to do with the distance from camera, because that's literally the only thing that's changing between first and third person that I can think. Have I heard of Railroads Online Extended? That's the what's it? That's the mod thing, isn't it? That lets you like, it gives you a mini map and lets you like remote operate the switches and things like that. If it's that one, then yeah, I have heard of it and I've thought about giving it a go, but I also kind of like just playing games stock a lot of the time. But I'll probably give it a go. I mean, the remote switches, especially because I really want to use the hump yard I built. I totally don't need a hump yard, but I wanted to. But that mod would make operating it so much easier than having to constantly keep going back and forth and back and forth. That would just be a pain in the ass. Yeah, I can definitely see why you wouldn't play without it. I do like that the map at least now shows where we are when you bring it up. That's a nice touch, and where anyone else is, so that's something. allows you to double head and control all locos from one engine's controls. Ah, so it basically what lets you run these as if they're diesel multiple units. That's interesting. Actually sounds kind of neat too. Because I mean, I have 3 locos on this railroad at the moment. I have Betsy, I have Betsy 2, the second porter with the what's it? It's not a pony axle. It's whatever it's called. The one that sits at the back. That one, and then the Class 48, and that is literally my entire roster of locomotives at this stage. But Betsy's doing its best, as it always does. I'm thinking I kind of want to get a Heisler next, because yeah, my line to the iron ore mine has a nice 7% grade, and the Class 48 will make it at 100% power with 4 loaded wagons of lumber and beams, but you couldn't get any more than that of it, so I would leave it at that and not try and go crazy. Whereas if I had a Heisler or something, I could get a bit more up there, or I guess something like that mod, and adding a Betsy or 2 as a helper engine, be it at the head or the tail, and help get up that grade. Yeah, the first time I built the line to the iron ore mine back with the old track system, oh god, that thing. I think that was a 2.5–3% grade, following that natural line that runs down the valley and then across the top of the waterfall and then down around the other side. Very long line, but gentle. In this one, I decided to say screw it, and there is a short section of 7 to where I built the 2 stupid scary bridges, which we will get to. I will drop these off, and then I will load number 3 up and take it to the iron ore mine so you guys can witness the absolutely stupidly scary bridges. Ah, you went up the western side, so you found a route around there. I had a look at that, but in the end I kind of couldn't be bothered building all along the cliffside because it's so annoying every time you fall. You have to get back up. So in the end I just sort of opted not to do that and just go the natural route most of the way. But like I was saying earlier, that's the fun of this game, because everyone will do it differently. So, you know, everyone will have a different route, different solution to particular questions, the different puzzles, because this is basically a puzzle game. The extender allows you to fly, so no falling. Where's the fun in that? I mean, we don't take fall damage, so it's fine. Hot air balloon mode, I like that. The most ludicrous form of transport that exists, the hot air balloon. What do you think about it? Yeah, I'm going to take this envelope of, like, these days, I guess, plastic, nylon, whatever, or in the past, like paper or whatever it was, and then just fill it with hot air, and it will lift me up and take me wherever the wind will go, and I have no idea where I will end up. Genius form of transport right there. On the good mornings, we do actually see hot air balloons here. You get like 4 or 5, sometimes more of them. Like, because my work starts at 6 in the morning, and so on the good mornings where they've got good wind or visibility or whatever, you'll see them drifting in the sky. Very alien looking things, that's for sure. Drop these all off. There we go, 40 logs in the lake. 43 logs in the lake. 2,244, so I am getting there. Am I clear of the switches? I am. So I will just throw the reverser into neutral. How's your fire doing? You should still be okay. Yep. After we fired you up before. Really awkward having to duck in there and find the right spot for that one. Now we need to set this switch to the right path. There we go. Did I leave any of these on? That one was. That can be off. That's off. That's off. And that's off. Good. Different ones there. Cylinder cocks open. Reverser. Brakes off. Regulator. Little bit bigger locomotive than little Betsy over there. Definitely feels like a good sort of natural step up from it too, because it's like very similar in terms of, well, not just proportion, but like operations and, you know, without a tender, it's sort of short range, but you can go wherever you need to. Like, you can run ahead or reverse just fine. So, that's always nice. This seems really cramped, like, as an area to operate a train. Stuck a Mosca tender on one of the 48s. You can actually couple the tenders like that. I didn't think that was a thing. Oop, too soon. That actually sounds like a cool idea. Basic, because I think, oh, what was it? I think there was some little tank locos. I think ones used in like Welsh or Irish quarries or something like that, where they I think it was who, like Baldwin maybe, would sell like tenders for the little tank locos to extend their range, and that seemed pretty cool. Ah, you can't use the water as far. So I guess, oh, you're right, because the tenders have those special couplers, don't they? So I guess you can't use that to connect it, so you don't have the water access, but the firewood you can physically interact with. That makes sense. Still, you use firewood far more than you use water in this game, so... And I don't think you really... like, sand doesn't seem to be a consumable. I mean, you can use it, and you can use the depot to load it, but I've never seen to have it go down. So... yeah. Yeah, I have a password just so I don't get, random people joining and then just, you know, deleting tracks or things because the game doesn't currently let you have any sort of permissions. Like, if the game let you have so anyone could join, but, like, unless they were, you know, unless they had certain, like, rank or approval or something, they couldn't, like, demolish or build track. That would be good, because then I wouldn't bother with a password. I'd just leave it open, and then anyone could join. because, you know, they're not going to sabotage your railroad by deleting a bridge or something. But yeah, letting people join a map is a good idea, definitely. Because, I mean, especially if you're talking about it in, like, a stream context, because, like, you know, people could... Oh, wrong one. People can see what you're talking about or help you run it. That's pretty fun, because, I mean, that's the fun part with this game that sets it apart from other train simulators, is the fact that, you know, people can play this and literally not drive trains if they didn't want to. Like, you could have someone who literally just loads wagons or unloads wagons if that's all they wanted to do. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you could do that. That seems like it would be not the most exciting thing in the world, but you never know. I have some weird game tastes, so I'm not going to question what other people may or may not enjoy. With the extending, give a viewer without a copy of the game URL that allows them to see the map and drive a train remotely. Interesting. So what, they have like a browser interface that interacts with the server, I guess. That's an interesting way of doing things. I'm guessing they don't really see anything much though. They would see just like a map or something like that. That's how it sounds to me anyway. Now these points should all be set correctly for us now. Drive your trains with a tablet. Interesting. So does that count as like another player in a server, or... So like if they were, you know, using it on the web browser, would they actually show up in the server list or not? So we will... There's my hump. Or part of my hump yard. Let's get some power, because there's a bit of a grade here. Not much of a grade, but a bit of a grade. Also, don't mind the random yard down there. I was originally building the hump yard in that direction, and then realised I needed to actually go this way so I could exit to the areas. But I didn't demolish it, I just left it there, because one day it might be useful. So there's a bit of stonework marking the top of the hump. And then you can see the hump yard then just leads into 2 3-track, or a total of 6-track sidings. Could have fit more, but to be honest, a hump yard is totally superfluous, really. Especially when, at most in this, I've had one other person playing with me, so it's never been that high traffic. But one day, it will be useful. At least I like to think it will be useful. So the extender requires a player name, so they can teleport around with a teleport feature. Got it. That makes sense. Now it should throw that switch automatically ahead of us, I believe. I believe that's how it works now. Yep. And now the track to the left goes to the smelter. The track to the right goes to the iron ore mine, which is where we want to go. 4 trains going sounds fun. I know I've heard some people where they'd like do like full-on double-track main lines so they can have like big sessions with lots of people driving at once. I tried to like use bridges where you've got like valleys where like rainfall or snowfall will go. So here is stupid bridge number 1. I'm shaking the camera when I laugh. I shouldn't have my hand on the mouse when I do that. You see how I actually just, layered it with another bridge underneath to get around the height restriction. Oh, I need more power. Let's give us more power. Nice and tall bridge. And then we come to stupid bridge number 2. Which is even more dumb. I mean, just look at this monstrosity. I just decided, screw you, I'm building across the entire valley. It does make the journey much quicker though. It just looks crazy seeing all those layers of bridge beneath us. But yeah, because I was going to build across the eastern side, and you can see the path that runs down the mountain, but I couldn't be bothered building that way, and then I wanted to sort of build a stupid bridge. So I built a stupid bridge. But this section here, I had to do that 7% grade to actually meet the bridge with where the landscape goes. But that bridge does look cool in the landscape. Totally not realistic, but I mean, damn, look at that thing. Leaving the mark, that's for sure. Oh yeah, we got my passing loop, and now that's the end of the 7% grades. It's just that little section. I think the rest of this peaks at 3. I think 3.5 is maybe the most on the entire rest of the line back to the back to what's it, the thing, the hump yard. That's the word. Looks like a dam under construction. Yeah, it does, especially because I've got some... Because I was using those stone walls to build, and then it kept being finicky, so I decided... Well, I was trying to build, like, stone walls up to a certain point, to make it look like the ends of the bridge were built into that, just so it didn't look as much of a mess as it is. But then the bridges just became a lot easier to build as bridges, so I just sort of left it. But yeah, hence, this is the line with the 2 stupid bridges, but I kind of like the 2 stupid bridges, so I might just leave them. Because this line is so nice and short as a result of them. Like, it takes no time at all to get here. Whereas the old route that we had that ran down this eastern side, it went all the way around and took forever to get back and forth. And even then, there was a switchback to get down into the Smelter Valley, which I don't have in this one currently. Alright, so we are here. Let's throw the brake on to a stop. Stop, please. That will be fine. Uncouple, uncouple, brake on. Let's shunt forward. Yeah, the eastern side is probably a gentler route because like the terrain is there if you want to make it look more realistic. But it's such a long path. And that's why I sort of started it and then said screw it and built the bridge. Because actually, funnily enough, we did actually, me and two other friends, we did build a western route, and then the game crashed and we lost a lot because I hadn't saved. Speaking of which, let me save. Just to be safe. And yeah, we lost a lot. So I decided that I wasn't going to build the western route again because I kept falling off, and just went east and then, or went west initially and then built east and made whatever the mess I did. Yeah, autosave plugin, that would probably be the most useful thing about the extender in my opinion, because I mean, I haven't had the game crash that often, but I so often forget to save because, like, every game has autosave now. Like, of course, they didn't back in the day, but now they do, so I just forget when a game doesn't have it. It's probably not a great thing. Let's set that back. Come on, there we go. And we'll pull forward and we'll load up some of these logs, given we stole a bunch from here to load up Betsy earlier. Is it stealing if you own both of the locomotives? I'm going to say yes, because I've stolen from one. I've robbed one of them, you know. Robbed Peter to pay Paul, but logs in a locomotive. It's totally the same thing, right? Break on. Let's just grab a bunch. So I haven't actually loaded up in a while. And as you can see, it's gone a bit low. Just a little bit low, damn. That's like the one event, like, because I had a class 70 in the old save with the old track system. I don't think I ever loaded logs in the tender of that one because the tender was just huge. It never felt like it needed to be refilled. Of course, I'm sure eventually it would have needed to, but I never hit the point where I needed to do it in the time that I was running that server. Let's shunt forward. We will go past my little depot setup. Literally the only engine shed on the entire map at the moment. And for some reason it's up here because I wanted to put something else. These bumpers have been a godsend for building turntable paths. They just make it so easy. Just showing the turntables themselves are still annoying to use. Because you sort of have to find the exact right spot. You can click on the boom, or you can click on the random spots to turn them. That tree's a little bit close. Should probably cut that one down. The turntable drift, yeah. That's definitely a bit of a pain. Sort of always have to sort of check it just to be sure. There we go. That's pretty good. Just a touch more. Delete it and replace it when the drift annoys you. Yeah, I can see that. Also, I'd jump for joy there, apparently. Smash through the roof, just bam. Who needs Godzilla when you can have whoever this man is? He needs a name. I mean, like, just like Steve is the Minecraft character. He needs a name. I don't know what it would be, but definitely would need one. Let's get that ready for coupling. It's a shame you can't really see the stupid bridges from here. You'd have thought you could maybe see them from how tall they are, but I guess not. The ghostly flame, yes. There we go. The ghostly flame. I'm gonna leave that. That's very safe, right? So I didn't pull far enough forward. Did I? No. Yeah, it wasn't like this snow update, whatever. Because there's a bug that removed the headlights, something like that. Just makes me think I need the oh, wrong one. Fuck, wrong way. Bit of wheel slip. That was good. Totally didn't mix up my controls there. But yeah, what I was saying is the flame makes me think I need the lantern from Sea of Thieves, you know, with the what's it, the Well of Souls, like green fire. Need that. I need that to put in my headlight. Maybe I'll have to stream some Sea of Thieves someday. That's a fun game. Coupled. That breaks off. It was the brake down here that was on, wasn't it? Yes. Off. Hand lanterns will be a thing. That'd be cool. I guess we will actually need a day-night cycle for that. Also weather. Weather would be fun. I don't know how they could really implement it, but it would be cool. But yeah, just a daylight cycle. I mean, trains like these probably in reality never really ran at night, but I mean, in the context of a game, it adds a whole bunch more challenges, and that's, you know, that would be fun. And the whole point of a game is to have fun, so at least I think so. Let's sell these. Brakes off. Bit more regulator. I end up using the third-person camera a lot just to position myself. You might have noticed that throughout the stream. It's by far the easiest way to align yourself right now. Alright, let's sell these. At least we don't have to use a crane to unload these as well as load them. That's a benefit. And the mine uses them so quick that they already have run out of the materials that we just brought. There we go, we have 200 ore here now, and I have 2,500, so I do have enough to buy some ore hoppers now. Huzzah! I should probably do that, and then, I don't know, maybe run my first ore train down to the smelter. Or rather, it'd be ore train to the hump yard, and then from there to the smelter, because that's how I've set the track up. Let's, before I leave, because I know I've got that stupid grade, let's turn the brake. That about enough. Don't want to zoom out from here. Just want to get some speed going. Now with the phantom flames. Let's jump over to this side. I don't know what that lever is. Water, I guess. I don't know. It's a control that's not implemented right now. You can see the smelter in the distance there, briefly. Make sure we've still got all the train with us. Because yeah, first run up went fine. Going back, came down, got to the end of spot. I only had one wagon on the back. Don't know how the others all came off, but they did. Hey, a stupid bridge number 1. But we gotta pay attention here. Turn the power off. And brake on. Onto stupid bridge number 1. I'll probably literally just call them that at some point. Let's just put it on 26% should be fine. Hope you're not afraid of heights. I guess whoever paid for this railway didn't mind spending a lot of money to build 2 huge bridges just so they could get their ore that little bit quicker to the smelter. Because even this bit, it was meant to be more level, but these bridges are on, I think, a 3% downgrade in this direction. So I still didn't reach the ground height on this level. And there we go, bridge number 2. This bridge is relatively sane in comparison. Because, I mean, it's still big, but it's not anywhere near as big as the other one. Let's go across, let's get some power, brake off. Yeah, I do hope they add somewhere down the line. No, train pun. Down the line. I do hope though they add at some point like other actual maps entirely. That would be kind of cool. Just so that way people can do, you know, a different thing depending on what they want to do. Now let's switch this point over to the arrivals line rather than the departure side. There we go. Totally a normal thing for a driver to do, right? Just abandon your train to go change a switch. Signalman? Never heard of them. So now we go down the arrivals track. Now this track I'm going to be editing. Also I need to edit these so that they're neater than what they currently are. But I need to edit this to have a longer like arrivals set of sidings. Because the whole idea is a locomotive can come in here, drop its wagons off in the arrivals yard, do the loop, go the bypass from the hump yard to go up to the other end, and then they can reverse in and couple up to whatever wagon is in the yard for the train that they are going to be pulling next. That's sort of how I've designed this track, but I haven't really actually used it for that yet. All I've done is shunt a wagon on these. I shunted some cordwood wagons just to test that the hump yard would actually work, which it does. Oh yeah, I forgot I got that brake on, which is slowing me down a lot more now, so I can go turn that off. Now we are on more level ground. Most players don't do track design, they just wing it and hope it works. I mean, I've kind of done that too. I wanted to do a hump yard just because the game seemed like it should allow one, and I was like, I'm going to try it. And yeah, it does sort of work. If I ever have the traffic, maybe it will actually get some use. So hence, like, this bit here's a mess. Like, the fact that an arrivals train would have to come in and then cross into this path and these points. Like, really, they should have a clean routing. But I got this section here because this track was already built. So that way, because, like, this track here was what I built for the sawmill to... not sawmill to the logging camp. And then this track straight ahead is for the freight depot. So of course I have this point here, so that way trains literally can go back to the freight depot. Because then, of course, the idea is a train could then go to the arrivals yard, and if it's something that's going for sale to be sold, instead of going to the hump and getting sorted to the industry it's going, it would just go straight down the freight depot line. Uh, but again, this yard is maybe not ideal because, of course, the hump yard goes in this direction, so it's good for handling these three industries, but it's totally wrong for these. So I might have to build another one somewhere, like here-ish, maybe. I don't know. I've never built to the coal mine. The most I ever did was link up the iron ore mine and the smelter and this part. So I've linked these up. I've never done any of these industries. So once I get the coal mine going, then I'll have to see if my hump yard needs total redesigning or adding just a way for a train to shunt from the other side, like come from the bypass and, hook from this end rather than the other end, and then they could go towards the freight depot and maybe bypass it that way. I don't know. I'll have to play with it, see what might work. Because that idea might work, but I don't have a lot of room because like literally I can put a junction off the bypass, but then you might have trains going back and forth. I'm gesturing with my hands, but you can't really see it. I'm doing this because as if that's going to help. Also, I just knocked the microphone, so whoops. Uh, but I'm gesturing like that to say, trains might be going back and forth, so they might be hitting each other, which is less than ideal. Let's to say, and like I've got that yard that I might just delete because it's not actually linked to anything, and it's not exactly in an area that could be linked to anything. It's just sort of there. I will park these up. That'll do. Brake on. Oops. And then reverser into neutral. Or close enough to neutral anyway. Turn out the magic headlight. Okay, and we will, because I've got enough, we will jump over to the freight depot. With my complex arrangement here. So the second Betsy is facing the right direction at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. Because yeah, I built this whole buying trains. Like I got a yard here, there's a passing loop so they can shunt past each other. There's like full loco servicing facilities. Big turntable with the passing loop here. And then the second Betsy. So let's get second Betsy fired up. Holding shift allows for more accurate movement of controls. Oh, I did not notice that before. That's cool. Things you learn, eh? Let's buy some hoppers. Well, obviously it's going to be, the name is going to be the DNCRR. What class? I don't think I've used. Yeah, I'm just gonna be lazy. OH OH exclamation mark. OH1 for Open Hopper 1. And then D and C are OH2. How many can I afford? I can't afford another one, can I? I think the thing is that I was 830 and they are 850, aren't they? 850, yeah. So I can only buy 2 right now. That's fine. Let's shunt them together. Prime this one ready. Leave that one's brake on. This one's brake can come off. We'll prime it for coupling too. So I'll have the switch that way. Yep. Into that way, into that way, into that way. Okay, so they're all set correctly. This one needs changing over. Pardon me. That one needs changing over. And then that one's set correctly, and that one is for the time being correct as well, because we need to move the locomotive first. Not the prettiest yard, but a hell of a lot prettier than my first attempt, because the old track system was so painful for trying to build actual tidy looking track, whereas this took like no time at all to do. Stealth Betsy. That's what this one is. All black. Except for the shunter steps slash buffer beam, whatever that part's called. I think it's that. Oh yeah, gotta take the brake off first. Where in Oz am I? Victoria. Yeah, down Melbourneite way. So, yeah, from Sydney. Yeah, Sydney's nice. I was up there in October when I was supposed to get on a train behind 3801, but thanks to the airlines, I missed the train by like I landed in Sydney at the time that the train was leaving Sydney Central, so I missed it. But oh well. I still made it to other stuff and then got to Goulburn, so it was okay. It just that part was annoying. It's just another excuse to go that way again someday. But I took the train back to Melbourne, and I'll probably do the train to Sydney again next time, because that was way better than flying. Flying is just not... It's not a good experience anymore. I mean, it was not a good experience at the best of times in cattle class, but it's just worse now. Like, to the point that I will actively avoid flying if I don't absolutely have to. Is that one coupled? Now, are we going to have enough momentum, or am I going to need to apply some more power? There we go. Release the brake. And we are all set to go. Although I'm going to grab a bit more timber. So how long have I been streaming for? Oh, nearly 2 hours. That's not too bad. I mean, it's been probably months since I did my last stream. This should make it empty up that 7% grade, I think. Maybe? Like, loaded, there'd be no chance. But empty, I'm pretty sure it should be fine. Especially because it's only a short section of it anyway. Goodbye, Freight Depot. Now we go on the first bit of track that was built right back at the start of the game. I could probably have built it straighter if I'd planned it more, but whatever. It's still mostly straight, so it works out fairly well. Just kind of watching the train. Here we have the curve that leads us running into the sawmill. And I realised my locomotive's at the wrong end and facing the wrong direction, and because I've parked the 48 where I have, I can't really turn this one, because the only turntable up here is behind where the 48's parked, so I'm going to have to break the rules and exit on the arrivals yard. Ooh, that's a bit tight, I'm guessing, based by how jittering they looked there. I don't remember what that curve is. Now these junctions should change, but I'm going to manually do it anyway because I need to change this one over here, which won't switch over automatically. There we go. So we're going to break the rules and go the wrong way through this thing. But I'm the only trade running, so it will be safe. It will be safe because I say it is safe. Oops, wrong one. The controls on this one seem inverted from... what's it? Oh, I'm shuffling in my chair again. But, yeah, the controls seem to be reversed compared to Betsy. I don't know why. You made the rules so you can break them. Damn straight. I mean, this guy could be the Fat Controller, or whatever they changed his name to these days. I have no idea, but who knows. But when everyone looks alike in multiplayer, clearly this is what Clone Wars would look like, but in the Steam era. Because that's something we need. I've also tried to set up all my levers on my switches so that I can see them out of the driver's window. They're not all that way, as you can see, like the hump yard in particular, a lot of them are just set to be wherever there's clearance. But where clearance doesn't really matter, I've tried to set them all to the right hand side of the primary direction of travel. So these ones are actually be the wrong way because I'm going the wrong way round right now, but I need to change them. At least this switch will all be set fine. Yep. Pretty nice shadow. Following the contours of the terrain for the most part. So I've sort of edged away from the microphone, so I might have got a bit quieter than I was. Let me move my chair again. The downside of chairs with wheels is you can't stay in one spot. You try to, but it doesn't work. Now we descend this section a bit, so let's cut the power. And now we climb again, so now we will bring up the power. Cross bridge number 1. Oh yeah, like my emergency ramp I put there so that when I fell off while building the thing I could get back onto the track. Good embankment mound. And now onto bridge number 2, and I just realised there's a tree in the middle of it that I need to cut down. Good night, Sav. Hope you enjoyed watching, even though, yeah. 7 AM, that's a little bit late, or early, to be going to bed. I guess it's still late because you haven't been to sleep yet, but it's technically early time-wise. I don't know. Whichever works. And as we come off the end of bridge number 2, we go around this reasonably tight curve, and then we will go onto the 7% grade. You can see it there. It's a good grade. No worries, I hope you enjoyed. Oop, camera doesn't like that. Oh, speed's dropping. Will we make it? The nerve-wracking, will we make it? Oh, it sounds like we're speeding up again, so I think we will. And there's the passing loop. The only passing loop on the track, so it's not actually that useful. Hi, from Ohio, that's cool. I know that state exists, but I don't know where it is. Most of the US states I only know because they got battleships named after them, and that's like the extent of my knowledge. It's quite picturesque taking the east route here. Especially when you look that way. Like sort of down the valley. Well, approved. With 2 empty hoppers, Betsy can make this line up to it. No worries. No, nuclear. Nice to have someone to chat with who knows a bit about the game. Learned a few things, so I probably will have to give that mod a try at some point. So, yes, see you around. I'll probably put the rest of this on my YouTube. I'm only going to go to the smelter, drop these off, and that's probably going to be the extent of all I stream for today. Because that'll basically show my entire network as it currently stands. Yeah, I might have to check it out. I don't often watch streams a lot, but I might give it a look. Like I said, it's always cool to see what other people do. Gives you ideas. There we go. Let's load. Laters. Let's bink. Just keep loading this until it's full. Definitely needs a smoother animation for this. And I think that's full. Yeah. So let's pull forward, brakes off. Well, I could actually go a little bit more forward, so I will go a little bit more forward. Brake on. Okay, let's put both of these down. That'll speed it up. I think that sped it up almost too quickly by how that rate was going. By how that rate. Yes. I can speak. Sprechen Sie English. Go up. I don't want to go up. Come on, keep going up. I don't want to waste it. Nope. Up. Up. There we go. Throw a handbrake on. Prime for coupling. Decouple from here. Brake off. Reverses ahead. Oh, that's a coupler. Interesting that you can see that from here. Put the brake on. Change that switch over. And I'll change this switch over too. Now we will reverse. Yeah, the controls are all like mirrored. It's weird. I swear they're not like that in the others. Oop, get past. Change that one back. And also reset this one. Set that forward, that off. Let's position ourselves onto the turntable. There we go. Use the beam, but you can't see the track, which makes aligning it a lot harder. Also, I can still hear next door's dog barking, even though it is 10:51 PM currently. It's okay, the boom can just go into that rock. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Nobody will ever know except for us. And I overshot. There we go. That is aligned. Ring the bell. Ring my bell. Or however the song went. At least this one has a back to it. So, like, you know, you're not going to fall out if you're reversing, because you've got this bit here. That's like such a big safety improvement on the other Betsy. Or the other Porter, sorry, because they're Porters. Downside is it's harder to see where your coupler is, so trade-offs. Also, ooh, you ordered. Try and suppress that. Like I said, I want to finish just my little loops. So then I've done every run in this, with the exception of taking, well, not every run, but most of the runs, the major ones. There hasn't been any cord removed today, and there won't be any freight moved to the depot. But, you know, we'll cover the smelter with this via its indirect routing. Coupled, break off, break here, we will set to about 40, I think we'll do. I don't know. We will find out. Oh. Okay, I need a lot more power than I thought I did to be able to get moving. I was wondering why we weren't moving there for a second. Maybe 40% is too high. Maybe Betsy 2 is not strong enough. Shuffle on the chair again. Good view down the valley there, and just in the distance, sort of middle of the screen, you can see the top of the chimney for the smelter. So that's where we're going. Via the sawmill, because we have to loop around my loop. Because right now, that's the only way you can get there. Because, I mean, I've designed the train flows so that a train would bring ore from the mine here. Wouldn't necessarily be the one to take it to the smelter. That could be a different train entirely. The whole idea is that, you know, maybe you have a train that's entire focus is just this one line here. And another one that might be the entire focus is on the line up and down from the smelter. So, that's the thinking behind it anyway. Yeah, I'm really trying to... I hope I don't all kind of falling asleep here. Nope, that's not a good view. Let's kill the power here. Yeah, see, this loop isn't big, but it's big enough for this train to pass the other one. if they needed to. There's stupid bridge number 2. Another yawn. Then again, I'm not surprised on the morning. I'm normally in bed like an hour and a half before this, but it's Friday night. Who cares? I might ease up on the brake now we're on the bridge. Yeah, don't walk too far that way. It's a low way down. Maybe I don't need to brake on at all, it seems. I think that 40% on the rear one is doing more than enough keeping us going too fast. With us just simmering along. Then our brief interlude before bridge number 1. I kind of don't like building unrealistic bridges, but in this case I'm kind of happy to leave it because they're just so dumb I like them. Now we are going to need to release that now so we can climb. So I have a feeling we're not going to be able to climb otherwise. These points will be set as to go in the correct way into the arrivals loop. So we literally will go around the arrivals loop to come down this track that goes here. Like, we could just go forward and reverse down, but no, I want to have engine leading. Not engine tailing, because engine tailing is not a good thing to be doing. I suppose one option would be I could build like a Y, maybe, at that junction. Then I could literally have a train just go direct if I wanted to and just bypass this yard entirely. I'm not sure that would be a great idea, but something to think about as a possibility. Can I outrun the train? Nah, not really. I need to change points though. So let me cheat and cut across ground that my totally abandoned train is having to follow. And then loop things around. Because that's a good idea. Always a good idea to abandon a locomotive that's in motion. What could possibly go wrong? Change this. There we go, and there's our train. Coming to meet us. Oop, there we go. That worked out pretty well. So yep, we go down the hump bypass route here. See if this switch was set to the left, we go to the hump. Instead we go to the right. And we skip that yard down there that does nothing. It's just there. Of course, the idea of the hump yard is you have a locomotive push the wagon up the back, but the wagons are decoupled, so the locomotive stops at the top, and the wagons will roll down into whatever siding they're being sorted into, where in the real world these days they'll have brakes, but in the past you would literally have, you know, shunters crews on the wagons who will put the brakes on when they need them. So, which is what you would have to do here. And then you would like shunt the wagons you want, like so you'd say which road is for which industry, for example, and then you would load them in that way. I don't know if that explanation actually makes any sense to anyone. I hope it does. It's probably one of those things that might make more sense when you see it. Now I'm going to stop this train. Ah! Don't get run over by your own train. Because I need to change this point now to go on a new line that we haven't been on tonight. Tonight on Railroads Online, Deno does some train stuff. That wouldn't be that interesting, probably. That one, change it over to... Yep. Okay, they're both set where we want to go. Brakes off. Regulator on. Cylinder cocks open. As we get some movement, hopefully. That seems to be worthy of a screenshot. I don't know if Steam's thing is being visible or not. It shouldn't be, but you never know. Now this one is all like a 3% grade downhill, something like that. So we'll probably just coast most of the way. This one I tried to be more realistic in following the terrain's contours where possible. But you did end up with some fairly high areas of fill like this. Hopefully it's not too bad though. Let's put some brake on. I'd rather go slow than fast anyway. Especially when you got some fairly sharp curves like this one. That we don't want to derail on. and these shallow bridges that entirely exist for, like I said earlier, allowing snow melt and runoff, whatever, to go past rather than get trapped behind a wall like these. Oh, this is a sharp corner. I haven't driven this line in a bit, so I don't entirely 100% remember it. This is the biggest bridge on this line, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was level 2. Well, maybe not. No, I think we're going to need to turn that brake off. Yeah. Yeah, this is the biggest bridge on this section. I didn't realise that was that steep. Well, I guess we've also got a lot of weight behind us for such a tiny little engine anyway. Also, I can hear it in my voice. The yawns, they are a-coming. They are on their way. Also, I wonder if this is streaming at 30 or 60. Probably 30, because I don't think Twitch lets you do 60, does it? I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know Twitch. What I normally do is joint thing for YouTube and Twitch, but today I couldn't be bothered using that thing, so just Twitch it is. Another small bridge over a nice little bit of a valley there. I keep turning my head because I'm used to using track IR for flights and stuff. So I keep going with to turn the camera, turn my head, and I'm like, oh, why isn't it? No, you might have noticed that in this. I've been turning my head a lot. It's mostly because of the habit. Yeah, there's a few bridges on this section. But again, I tried to keep them mostly realistic. Like, these are sort of a realistic height. Like, they're big, but they're not really big. And there's the track we will be going into the smelter room. So we will, hang on, we will need to whack the brake on here because there's a sharp turn here. Yeah, look at them wobble about. That's not safe looking. Oh, bogey glitch there. I think we made it okay. We didn't derail on that really sharp curve. I should really change that. Especially because this bit down here is pretty flat. There's no reason for that curve to be as sharp as it is. I just wanted this track to run next to our other one. Like, that's literally the only reason why it does that. So there is a Y down here, but it's not one we're really going to need. So we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it. No, we ain't going to take it. We're not going to take it anymore. Something like that. Don't know why that song came in my head, it just did. Haven't heard that song in years. First delivery to the smelter. Well, first delivery to the smelter of iron ore anyway. We've already delivered, as you can see, cordwood. Yeah, you can see there I maxed out the cordwood with wagons. I'll give a view once we stop. There we go. I'll just get another screenshot. But yeah, so you got your iron ore here, and then because this is where you drop off cordwood, but you can only fit, as you can see, about 3 wagons on the platform at a time, and I have 6. I created a little siding here. So when your train comes in with cordwood, you come down and you have to negotiate through this siding here, and then you want to go straight. This will take you into this head shunt, which you can see has some buffers there. This is just long enough for Betsy and those 6 cordwood wagons. And then you shunt the 3 wagons into there, you unload them, then you back up, and then you shunt the empty ones into here, leave them parked, back up, go straight, unload the other 3, and then those ones you back up, you recouple back to these, and then you can take the whole train out of here. That's sort of how I've designed it, because then you can leave this track here completely free. You're never going to book, because this track does a loop around and then goes round to the other side of the smelter. There's our little telegraph thing for fast travel. And then you can see here, this is where we would load raw iron and rails. And then this track to the right will take you back. Isn't it? That one's the one. No, that's the one. This does a loop. So that does a loop so you can go all the way back around the way you've just been. Because that allows to sort of loop around and exit. Or you go this way, and then there's a siding for where we can leave wagons, and then there's the exit to our Y, basically. That's how the track is laid out, if I remember rightly. Yes, yeah, it's a Y over there, so it can come around that way, you can come around that way, so you can turn the whole train round. That's what that's for. And then the siding, so I could leave like all wagons down here if I wanted to. Not that I probably would, I would leave them up the top. This would probably be where you leave wagons waiting to be loaded with iron products. So let's unload this ore and see what money we make from it. We had 830 something. So there we go, that's been sold. There is now 16 iron ore. And the cordwood will get used pretty quickly, I suspect. Yeah. It seems to be... I don't know what the ratio is. I need to look into it of what the ratio is. But now, if we go round back where we were, There will now be products being stacked up here. Yay! Because the industry is actually manufacturing now. See, we've got some raw iron. Ah, you can see the process of them working here. And then we got some rails. So you got 14 rails to 7 raw. Okay, so it produces double the amount of rails as it does raw iron. Fair enough. So the rails, that will be used. See, it's stacking them up there, ready for loading. I need to even look at what I don't even know what industries need to use those. At the moment I would just be selling them until I build it, but we'll find out. But yeah, so yeah, 56 cordwood, jeez, you use a lot of cordwood for this. Because yeah, that was what, like, well yeah, it's 56 now, so it's what, 30, no, 40, 44? 44 cordwood for the 20 raw iron. So yeah, it's a good thing I've got all these wagons here ready to drop off, because you're going to use a lot of it seems. But that's why I wanted to have storage and leave them here so I can keep the smelter going when I need to. But yeah, that got us up to 1200, so what was that, 830 to 1200. So 9, 10, 11, 12, so that's about what, 400? That's pretty good. That's like double the income I was getting from anything else. So yeah, that's a good way to make money. And I will leave that there, I think, for tonight. I've been streaming for over 2.5 hours. It is now 11:20 p.m. at night. Like 2 hours after I normally go to bed on a weekday. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. Probably a little bit boring because most people aren't interested into trains, but I'm guessing if you're still watching this 2.5 hours in, you probably are interested in trains to some extent. Otherwise, yeah, because I know I'm certainly not interesting. I don't have anything entertaining, I'm just me. So, yeah. Anyway, that was Railroads Online. This was my little route on there. And have a good night and safe driving. Ta-ra. Bye-bye. Cheerio. Toodaloo. And all the others.